Hi, Peter Charles here of Hooked Fly Fly Fishing, and today we're going to tie a rather famous fly called the Skykomish Sunrise. It's a very colorful fly, and it was tied by the McLeod father and son team. And as the story goes, it's supposed to be tie a fly according to the color of that sunrise. You know, that's sort of like the lure around the fly. Anyway, it's a nice bright fly, and I think we'll do well with it. One little proviso, I've run out of red chenille, and this thing calls for red chenille, so we're going to be using red yarn instead. But when we get to that stage, remember, red chenille. Okay, let's take a look at the hook we're going to be using. It's a size 1 salmon single. Our thread is red UTC 140. Our tag and rib is a silver oval in medium tinsel. Our hackles are red and yellow saddle hackle. They're going to be used for both the tail and the hackling. Like I said, the body is supposed to be red chenille, and the wing is white calftail. So let's get started. Bring the thread back to the hook point. Tie it in underneath. Now for our tail. Now we have to mix the yellow and red together. One way to do that, sometimes it's really hard to get them to mix in your fingers, is just to put a loose wrap there to hold it in place. I'm going to put the red first, and then we'll use the yellow and sort of squish it together. The pattern calls for these barbs to be mixed together. The trouble is if you've got crappy saddle hackle like I have, the barbs have a lot of web in them and they don't mix very well. So, you know, you can cheat a little bit if you have to. Okay, now for our chenille. So whether it's chenille or yarn, do the same thing. Pull tight when you're on the bump, and then when you come off the bump, back off the tension and it'll fluff up. Yeah, I try to give my yarn a little bit of a rough chenille look to it by winding it rather irregularly. Try to cheat a little bit. Okay, now for our hackles. You can start with either color. I'll start with the red. Cut the tying in point. A couple of wraps to hold it. Now, what I've done with these hackles is I made sure the quill's the right diameter, the same diameter, or very close. And I made sure the barbs are about the same length, and I've using roughly the same amount of material on each feather. I've stripped off one side. Remember, you're putting 2 hackles in here, so you need room. So I've left myself some space at the head, so I'm not going to get too crowded. Then the other thing when I'm putting these in, I want to make sure the quills are lined up together. If there's a space between the quills and I start to wind, that space will get replicated through the winds. So when you're doing 2 hackles, you do have to pay a little bit more attention. So I'll put the 2 together, a couple of winds, make sure everything's lined up. If it is, wind forward. Now I've left myself lots of room here, and makes my life easy when I'm going to try to wind these on. If you don't leave yourself enough room, you can get it crowded. I mean, you're winding on 2 quills, not 1. Okay. Make sure they always point back. Make sure each turn goes in front of the previous. Remember, you're working with 2 quills here. So take your time. Bring your thread to the back. I'm going to take this moment to brush out the hackles. Make sure they look good. Yeah, that looks really good. Check the tail. And you can see what's happened with the tail. You're supposed to blend those barbs together. But as I want to put them on, I just stack one on top of the other. But as I started winding material on, they started to mix up. So now they look fairly mixed. A little cheat. As I said, if you had really good saddle hackle with not a lot of webbing in it, that job would be a lot easier. But because mine has a lot of web, they want to stick together when you're trying to merge the red and the yellow together. Okay, now for our calftail. I like to pick out any odd stray bits so the wing is relatively even. You bring it back to about half the length of the tail. Now we're just going to trim it off. Bring your thread to the back of the head. Position the wing. Don't crowd the eye. Pull up. Now come forward. When you get to the back of the head, just a soft wrap, and then come forward. Now we whip finish. And finally some head cement. Okay, there's our Skykomish Sunrise. Very colorful fly, a very interesting looking fly, got a bit of an interesting history to it as well. And I think it'll do quite well on stained water conditions or when it's overcast. That kind of bright fly will just glow. So give it a try, the Skykomish Sunrise. Cheers.